All right, so after all of the leaks coming out from the MCU and their kind of little vacation getaway and a bunch of the different rumors and leaks that Variety did, letting us know a bunch of different things the MCU is up to, one of the most major ones was the rumor that they were moving away from Kang, that this big major villain that they have been setting up for this phase of the MCU is essentially going to be put to the side, and it was talked about at that Marvel retreat that they were going to replace him with Doctor Doom. Well, we officially have reports that it seems like Variety was correct, that their intel was indeed true, as it often is, because we have a little bit more to this story to add to today, and it's pretty much official at this point that MCU has kind of put a bullet in Kang, that he is gone, and that he is no longer going to be the big bad for this phase of the MCU. And so let's dive into it. So this report is coming directly from someone who has tons of ties and probably the most connections to the MCU right now on the inside out of anybody other than people who work there. And it is the author of the book MCU, The Reign of Marvel Studios. Their name is Joanna Robinson. And they are essentially claiming that this is no longer happening. And so here's what they had to say. So speaking on the Ringer's House of R podcast, co-writer of the new Marvel book MCU, The Reign of Marvel Studios, Joanna Robinson, claimed that Jeff Loveness is no longer working on Avengers 5, who of course was the writer for the Ant-Man 3 movie that really highly involved Kang, that they essentially wanted that writer to write the future movies that had Kang in it. Anyways, I'll quote here. She said, "I heard from someone recently, the screenwriter Jeff Loveness, who wrote Quantumania, who was supposed to write the Kang Dynasty anyway. It's confirmed, had it confirmed to me that he's no longer working for Marvel. I asked the person why, and they said the reason why is that he was all wrapped up in this Kang storyline and that they're likely going to be moving away from that." And so with that, we pretty much have confirmation now with the Variety report and now with this, that Kang is done in the MCU, that the MCU is moving into a different villain. It's probably most likely Doctor Doom by all of the reports. And to be honest, I've got two different thoughts. One thought is a sigh of relief that Kang has not felt like this big bad who felt intimidating like Thanos did. A couple of people made a really good point that Thanos only really had just a tiny little fraction of scenes before Infinity War showed up, and his presence was felt, that you felt intimidated, you felt fear, you felt like this was someone who could take on the Avengers and dismantle them. And Kang has never felt like that his introduction in the first season of Loki was an interesting character. Curious to see where he would go, but kind of goofy. And Ant-Man, I mean, just to be honest, if Ant-Man can solely take on this villain and take him down, that's not a very intimidating villain. And then the same thing in Loki season 2. And I would just say this, that Thanos had like 2 or 3 scenes that had us terrified and pumped for him. And Kang has had 2 full TV seasons and a movie, and it feels like nobody is buzzing about this villain, that nobody actually cares. And so I think it's good for Marvel to move away from Kang. I think it makes sense, and this isn't even diving into all the Jonathan Majors controversy. And again, it's innocent until proven guilty. But to be honest, that's a looming thing just over this in general, that if that goes south, then you're really hooped with this Kang character. And so it seems like the safe bet would be just to slightly move away from it, to introduce a villain that can get people excited for the MCU again, because they're having to pick up steam because people are not pumped about the MCU like they once were. And so they're hoping that maybe a villain change will help that. Now, the thing that makes me anxious about this, especially about Doctor Doom, is that, again, I really just don't want this to feel rushed. The worst case scenario for this thing is that they change it away from Kang and it feels forced and weird and like this just doesn't fit, and that it's so obvious that they made an abrupt change to their plans. That I hope if they move away from Kang, and if all of these reports are true, that they're able to have patience to properly build up suspense for Doctor Doom or whoever the villain might be. I assume it's actually going to be Doom, and that he will actually take over the throne of Kang, that he will be kind of controlling the universes, and that we will actually see him kind of take that on. That will be my guess, but I hope it doesn't feel rushed. It's such a big major villain that to rush to him, to not give him his time to marinate, to not be able to introduce him well, would be a huge disappointment. That you don't introduce someone like Doctor Doom flippantly, or to try to just create spontaneous hype out of nowhere. That if you're going to introduce him, you have to do it well. And up until this point, we haven't really seen a good interpretation of Doctor Doom on screen. And so if they're going to head in this direction, I hope they do him well, because he is honestly probably, if not, like the only person who probably rivals him is Magneto in the MCU for being the greatest Marvel villain of all time. And so I just hope they can really do him justice. I don't want to see them kind of just shoehorn him in to try to solve a problem. But now that Bob Chapek is out at Disney and Bob Iger is back, and he's giving space to Kevin Feige again to be able to do what he wants to do with the MCU, not what the suits say he should do. I do have hope that and faith in Kevin Feige that he will be able to be faithful to this character, that he will be able to turn this ship around, that he will be able to be given the time and the attention needed to the MCU to bring back the hype. And I really hope he does. I miss getting excited for these movies. I miss feeling that kind of hype. I would gladly welcome it back if they start giving us some real great films. And it even looks like they're pulling back, which is something that we've complained about. That next year, the only MCU movie that is coming out is Deadpool 3. And that's really great. And so I hope that they are able to build off of this, that they are able to course correct, that they're able to sort out a lot of these problems, and that we can get excited for the MCU again. But with that being said, I want to know what you guys think. So head down to the comment section down below. Let me know your thoughts. How do you feel about this Kang news? Are you excited that they're changing villains? Are you nervous about it? Do you want them to introduce Doctor Doom? Do you think that that's going to end well or poorly? Are you afraid like me about it possibly feeling rushed or forced and not done well or faithfully? Let me know in the comment section down below. Like, comment, subscribe, all that junk, and I will see you guys in the next one.